Hey, I'd like to try something with you here. I've got a little bit of a note that I carry around with me. It's got a question mark on it. This will be important later on. I have a deck of cards here, and I'd like you to shuffle them, so I'd give them to you, and you could give them a thorough shuffle. It doesn't really matter how you shuffle. I just want to make sure that you're pleased and convinced that the cards are indeed mixed up. Once you're done with that, you can set them down. And I don't know if you've, let's see here how well you did. Make sure that they are mixed. They look pretty good, pretty well mixed. I don't know if you've ever done a card trick before, but a good card trick always starts with the same thing, right? Yeah, I don't know if you've ever done one, but it usually starts with a pick a card kind of thing, right? Kind of situation. We're going to try that very quickly. I want you to select a card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to riffle through the cards. I just want you to tell me to stop at any point. So if I riffle and you say stop, we'll say stop right there. And I want you to memorize that card. Now, this is not the most important part of the trick, but it is essential. It'll come up later on. And we'll just shuffle that back in so we lose it. So remember that card as we go on here. This is called an overhand shuffle. An overhand shuffle is done, obviously, overhand like that, such that the cards are switching positions. Now, the problem with an overhand shuffle is that it's unverifiable. All the backs look the same. You can't really tell if they're being mixed up. Now, if we really want to shuffle the cards in a verifiable way, we can turn them over, right, so that you can see the faces of the cards. And as I shuffle like this, I don't know if you can see what's going on, but the faces change, right? So as we go through this, the faces are always in motion. They're always changing. So as we shuffle, it's completely verifiable that everything is moving, changing positions, right? Very good shuffle. We could take this a step further if you want and shuffle in a very strange way, not such that the faces are just changing, but that the faces and backs are getting mixed up. So we'll try something really strange like this. We take a group of cards, right, and we're going to turn them over like that. So we're going to shuffle kind of face to face, back to back like this. Very unusual sort of shuffling procedure. And we just want to make sure that everything is mixed very, very well. Okay, just like this. And what we have now is we have a situation where cards are face-to-face, back-to-back, right? You can see here that we have the cards are in complete disarray, just like this. I want to try something even more. Let's see if we can make this even more mixed up. We'll take these piles here, and I'll have you take a group of cards. Let's say we pick up this many. Would you like less or more? Fewer or more? A couple more? That's fine. We'll put a few more to that, and we'll set them down over here. And then from this pile, we'll take a grouping. Would you like less or more? A few less? That's fine. We'll take some, put them back. A few less still? Less? More? More than that? Pick up a couple more? Good. I just want to make sure that we do it the way you want it, okay? We'll put those over here. We'll mix these together. So we're switching the direction of cards at will, however you like them, and mixing them back together. Let's do it again. We'll pick up another group of cards, say a few less from that. Whatever you want. We'll put them over here. We'll take a few from here. Let's say just a few less from that. Oh, maybe one more. That's fine. And we'll turn those over and we'll mix these in together. And you can see that the cards are indeed being completely shuffled together, such that this is really unpredictable. We have a situation now where we've got cards facing every which way. Some are facing up, some are facing down, some are face to face, some are back to back, and we'll just push this all together. Are you satisfied with this? You know, if you're not satisfied with it, we can give it a whole other table wash. I want to make sure that this is completely unpredictable. This is a situation that you could not have foreseen. None of us could have. So we're left in this situation here where we have all these cards mixed up, and in fact, we say that it's unpredictable, but I happen to have a prediction that's been sitting here the whole time. Let's take a look and see what it says. Inside my prediction, I have written down that 19 cards should be face down. Now, this would be pretty impressive. There's no way that we could have known that would have happened. You've made decisions on this, right? You had control over how these cards were arranged. But let's check and see. 19 face down. Let's see here. We'll count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I don't know if we'll make it, 17, 18, and the very last card, 19 cards face down. Now, who could have known that that would have happened? That's pretty impressive. But wait, there's more. If we take a look inside, we'll see that it says 14 cards are red. 14 of these cards are red. Let's see if that's true. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards are red. 14 cards are red. That's unbelievable. But wait, there's more. You see, inside of that, I wrote down another prediction. It says, the rest are all clubs. The rest are all clubs. If we take a look here, we'll see that sure enough, the rest are all clubs. Club, 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 club. That's a problem. Let's see. Wait a minute. That's not a club. That's a... Oh, I see what's going on here. You see, there's another part to this prediction. The rest are all clubs except for your card, which happens to be the 3 of spades. Hi there, this is the Common Magician. We're going to take another look at the shuffleboard plot. This is a bit of a revision on a previous impromptu variation that I showed you on a previous tutorial. This version, however, is, I think, a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more direct, and it's more specific in the prediction because we add a your card element to it, so that we end at the very end with a prediction of the presence of their selected card in the mess. And that card can be any card. It's an impromptu situation where they could select any within a grouping of cards, which we'll explain that in a moment here. But any of a particular suit, any one of the spades, I guess is what it would be. Here's how this works. I did not like, particularly in the last impromptu variation that I showed you, the fact that we had to do a red-black separation, which then incorporated a separate trick, a separate phase, an effect in there where we are doing a reverse card effect, kind of a triumph effect using the slop shuffle. And I thought about that for a bit, and it occurred to me that really we can use the slop shuffle to do exactly what a slop shuffle looks like it's doing. A slop shuffle is the kind of shuffle where you're taking some cards, turning them over like this, and appearing to mix the deck together such that the cards are all facing different directions. But actually what's going on is you're separating the deck into halves so that half of the cards are facing one way and half of the cards are facing another way. And you can do this in the course of a triumph sort of effect, where you do this and then you merely cut the deck and put them all back in order. Or you could do this in a similar kind of circumstance, a triumph sort of effect, where you're doing a red-black separation, where you take all the red cards, you put them on one side, all the black cards, and you put them on the other side. And you go through the deck like this, such that you end up segregating the cards so that all the reds are one way, all the blacks another way. And that's a very good way to get red-black separation in the context of a sort of a triumph effect. What I wanted to do is I wanted to eliminate the triumph effect. I wanted to just get my separation for the necessary stack, but not have the phase of a card reversal, of reversing the cards and getting them back in order. And I can use this actually in a way to get a very particular stack, a very specific number that doesn't have to be all reds and all blacks. So I'm going to show that to you now. Now we have our prediction to start with. Also, I did this in demonstration using the traditional prediction, but it also occurred to me, if you wanted to be really impromptu about this, you don't really need to do this. Now, this is the classic sort of demonstration of shuffleboard, where you have an ongoing prediction that gets more and more specific specific, right? But you could really do this as sort of a story trick. If you came up, I don't know, make up a story that fits on a date, a year. I don't know, 1914 or something like that, where you have 19 cards that are face down, 14 of them are red. You have a story that goes along with that, and you can tell your story, maybe make up a poem or something like that, and you recite this at the beginning of the trick. Speak it a couple times, something short, a short little ditty, and then you go through, and then you recall that little story in your prediction. So that's another way to maybe do this completely impromptu so that you don't have to carry around a prediction. I'll leave that to you to figure that out if you want to do it that way. But this is, again, the classic sort of prediction. And we have in there these numbers. 19 cards face down, and I'll show you the numbers for this, or the procedures to get to this set. You could probably tweak this a little bit and have a variation on these numbers. But 19 cards face down, 14 cards are red. The rest are all clubs, and then, of course, the last part, which is very specific, except for your card. It's a your card prediction. Okay, so that is the prediction. We have this set aside and in full view at the very beginning. This begins with a completely shuffled deck of cards. Now, we often say that you could use a borrowed deck of cards. One person recently pointed out to me, how often does that ever happen, right, where you actually borrow a deck of cards to do tricks? I know some people, I know Harry Lorraine is one who says that he only does borrowed card tricks. So he doesn't even carry a deck of cards around anymore. Now, he's a personality that is always in the presence of other magicians, right? So people always have cards around. That's not really something that happens. Normally you would be doing this with your own deck of cards, but this can be done with a regular deck of cards that can be handled by the spectators and shuffled. So we'll start this by saying, go ahead and shuffle those cards, right? And usually people are terrible at shuffling. They'll do all kinds of weird sorts of shuffles to get it put together, but they can shuffle it any way that they want. As long as they're satisfied that the deck is in fact shuffled. Now, I continue on in this presentation with this little premise here that we're going to verify that the cards are indeed mixed up. And when you show them, you can see that you did shuffle the cards. The cards are indeed mixed up. Go towards the middle of the deck, and whenever you run into a spade, doesn't matter which one, but once you get to a spade, break the deck at that point with a spade on top of the middle packet, the right packet. And then what you're going to do is turn them over, and you're going to control that spade to the top of the deck. And this is going to become the force card, okay? So again, after the shuffle, you verify that the cards are in fact out of order. You cut to a spade, put it on the top, and then turn the packets over so that middle card is now on the top of the deck. Immediately after that, you go into an overhand top stock retention. Now, the way this works is that you take the top section of cards, in-jog one card, and then shuffle freely on top. And then you're going to follow that up with another shuffle sequence where you pick up at the break that's created by the in-jog. You retain that break, you shuffle freely until you get to that top stock, and then you drop it on top. And that brings the force card back to the top. Then you follow up with a cut or a couple of cuts. You're going to cut about half. And then you can follow up with some additional cuts, but you want to retain a break above that top half that is now in the bottom half. And then you're set up for a riffle force. Now, you can do any force that you want as long as the force card ends up at the top of the deck again. It is that spade, okay? So we'll do a riffle force. You say, just tell me when to stop. It doesn't matter where they say stop. You're just going to pick up at your break, bring it forward, and you're going to show them the force card, which is the spade that you opportunistically controlled to the top. Okay, so through opportunity, you come to that force card, you force it on them, you place that on top, and then you go into another top stock retention overhand shuffle. You say, well, shuffle that into the deck, and most people shuffle cards this way, and now you set up the premise of the presentation, which is shuffling. You pick up again at your in jog, and you bring that top stock, retained top stock back to the top to control their card back to the top. And you say, this is how most people shuffle, but it's not a verifiable shuffle. See, all the backs are showing, and you can't really tell if the cards are changing order. It looks a lot better if we turn it around this way. Now, we're going to control 4 clubs to the top of the deck to sit on top of our spade. That is something that's going to be essential to the prediction, that we end up with 5 cards that are all black, 4 of them are clubs, and the one oddball is their card. So we're going to say we're going to shuffle with the faces facing up, and you can see what happens. Now, the way we do this, as if you saw the other tutorial, we're going to thumb off the first club that we come to and bring it to the top of the deck. Now, there just so happened to be one right there, and that was a good opportunity, but I move that to the top, and now I'm going to shuffle freely through until I hit another club. And then I'm going to put those cards back on top, and I'm going to thumb that club and put it on the top again. And I say, if you watch, you can see what's going on here, the way that the deck is changing. You can see that all the faces are changing, and now I got another one. So I'm at 3 clubs on top of my force card spade, and I do this again until I get 4. So I say you can see that everything is changing. Now, the way that you can stall for time is ask them to see if they notice what's happening. Now, this is such a vague question, they'll just stare at that and they won't give you an answer. Okay? So it'll give you an opportunity to get a couple of them in place. And then you can say, I don't know if you can see what's happening, but the cards happen to be changing places. And you can thumb off your cards, right? And that should give you enough time to get at least to the last one, such that you can thumb off the last one. And you see, we are in this situation. We have 4 clubs sitting on top of 1 spade, which is the force card, okay? Now, the next phase of this is to do the slop shuffle. But we're going to do the slop shuffle not as a pure red-black separation. What we're going to do is we're going to shuffle in the first sets of black cards will each have 3 red cards in it. We're going to do 4 of these sets. So we're going to do the black cards will have 3 red cards. Now what you do is you go to the first set of 3 red cards that you can find. Now it just so happens that I have a black card on top, then I have a red card, black card, and I have 2 more red cards and then some more black cards. This is going to be my first grouping. Now if I happen to have all red cards at the top, I would just take the first 3 red cards off, turn them over as if they are on the black side, and then put them face down against the next set of red cards. Okay, so we take 3 red cards among our black cards, turn those over, and we're going to pick up the next red cards. Okay, so there's only 1 there, so I'm just going to take 1. And then I'm going to turn back, and I'm going to get another grouping of black cards with 3 red cards. So here are the first 3 red cards. I'm going to grab those, turn them around, and then I'm going to pick up the next set of red cards only. That's 2. Now I need to get another group, so I'm going to take this next set of black cards, but I'm going to take with it the first 3 red cards that I come to. So here's 1, 2, 3, and then it goes to red, so I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to take red, all red, only red, and then I'm going to do 1 more. So this is the black side, but I'm going to take 3 red cards with it. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then it goes to red. I'm going to turn it over. Now I'm going to be red, black only. So red here, black, red, black. Now what I'm watching for is the very end. I need to get my stock on the top with my force card and my 4 clubs on the red side. So this is all red, and I get down to my force card, which was the 7 of spades, and then I'm going to put that on the red side. Okay, this takes a little bit of practice because you have to be able to do this fluidly, but what we're doing is we're stealing 12 red cards from the 26 red cards in the deck and mixing them with the black side. Okay? And what that does, when we take 12 red cards away from 26, we end up with 14 red cards at the end. Those 14 red cards then are going to get stacked with our force cards here at the top. Our force card with our 4 indifferent clubs. And that gives us a stack now at the end of this of 19 cards, 14 of which are red. The remaining are all clubs except for the fourth card. So our stack is all set. Now, the nice thing about this is even though everything is segregated, we're actually all set up. We don't really have to do anything more with it. The rest of the trick is self-working. Now, what I do want to do is I'm going to do a riffle shuffle like this immediately after doing that. And I'm going to shuffle the cards together so that I'm mixing my face-up and face-down cards. Now, after that first shuffle, a little bit of shuffle tracking going on here, my 5 black cards should now be somewhat evenly spread in the bottom quarter of the deck. So I'm going to just riffle off after my first riffle. I'm going to riffle off 1 quarter, and I'm going to shuffle that quarter into the rest of the deck. And that will fairly evenly spread out my black cards. So I can do a quick spread like this, and it looks pretty legitimate, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, now my target cards are face up at this point. I'm going to take half of the deck off the top, cut it, and turn them the other way. So I've got my target cards are face up in this side. My target cards are face down in this side. And then we go through the normal shuffleboard presentation. It's nice if you do it this way because it looks really sloppy. You take a grouping of cards. You can ask them more or less, and they can choose. You take these and you turn them over, and you pick up from the other stack, same kind of thing, turn those over. And by doing this, we are not reversing any cards at all because remember, this half was flipped, okay? So now we're left in this situation where I have on this side, my target cards are face up. On this side, my target cards are face down. I want all of my target cards to be face down. So I'm going to pick up these 2 groups. And I'm going to say, you can see our situation. I'm going to turn this side over. Then I'm going to turn both of them over like that. And what I've done is I've really turned this side the other direction. So now all of my target cards are face down. And the indifferent cards are all face up. And then I can mix these together. At this point, you can do a table wash to your heart's content because the cards are not going to be changing directions by doing that. At this point, then you square everything up and then you present as the prediction indicates. So you show them, I have this thing that's been sitting out in full view. It says that 19 cards are face down. Let's verify. You count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and that's it. The rest of the cards are face up. And then the prediction goes on to say that 14 cards are red. You want to make sure that you drag this out for effect. Count out your red cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards are indeed red. And then you say inside of that we have another prediction that says the rest are all clubs. And you can verify over here that indeed the rest are all clubs. Club. Oh, we have a problem here. There's 1 card that's not a club. Oh, but you see, I have written in here one more piece to this prediction. It says, except for your card, which happens to be the 7 of spades, that 4th card. Okay, so completely impromptu presentation. Now, the difficulty in doing this is that it requires some compartmentalized management in your mind. While you are saying one thing, you need to be doing something else. So the things that you have to do, the first thing you have to do is a little bit of a control to get a 4th spade. Okay, that's easy. That's no big deal. The second thing that you have to do is you have to call 4 clubs and get them to the top. So you're doing a face-up overhand shuffle call. And as you're doing this, again, ask them to see if they notice what's going on, right? That is a stalling tactic to allow you to continue until you explain to them, well, you can see that the faces are changing, right? And in that time, I have called my 4 clubs to the top. So you have to do that, okay? And then the last thing you have to do is you have to do this face-up, face-down slop shuffle where you are taking 4 groups of 3 red cards among the black side. 4 groups of 3 red cards among the black side. So again, just to demonstrate it one more time, we'll shuffle the cards here and see what we end up with. that looks like this. Now, again, it's starting with black. Let me see if I can find a place here where we have a bunch of red. So let's say here we start with red. Now, again, you're going to take 3 red cards among whatever blacks are with them. And then you're going to stop at that moment. Okay, so I have 2, a black card, and then a third one, and there's no more black cards. I'm going to break right there and turn this over. Okay, so that's the first grouping. I'm going to pick up just a red card, or whatever red cards are there. As soon as I see black, I turn it over again. I'm going to take the black card and 3 red cards, plus any other black cards. That's 2. I turn over, I take the red card. Then I turn over, I'm going to take whatever black cards plus 3 red cards. That's the third one. I turn it over. I take all red cards, and then the fourth one, I take black cards with 3 red cards, and whatever black cards are in there, that's 4. And then from this point, I am shuffling black and red. So all the reds on one side, all the blacks on the other side, all the reds on one side, all the blacks on the other, until I get to my fourth grouping at the very end. And I want those to go, let's just say it's this group right here. I want these to go with the red side. Okay, so you have to compartmentalize that move and manage that in your mind as you're talking. So I find that one way to manage that, again, is to ask them to notice what's going on. I don't know if you can see what's going on there. Do you see what's happening? And that gives them time to think and look. And it gives you time to think and look as well as you're doing your procedure. And then once you're in the clear, you can explain. You can see that the cards are face up and face down, and they're all mixed up. And then after that, you shuffle that together using a couple of riffle shuffles. 1 riffle shuffle to mix them, 1 more riffle shuffle of the bottom quarter to even out the black cards that are in your target stack, and then you can go through shuffleboard as normal, cut the deck in half, turn over the top part, do all of that, get everything righted at the end with a flip maneuver, and then shuffle together and present, and you're done. There it is. Good luck with that, and I wish you happy magicking.